Welcome to Just a Minute. My name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, once more it's my huge pleasure to welcome our many listeners in this country and around the world, but also to welcome to the show 4 exciting, talented, dynamic players of this game. And they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Tony Hawks, and seated on my left, Graham Norton and Sheila Hancock. Please welcome all 4 of them. Beside me sits Sarah Sharp. She's going to help me keep the score and blow a whistle when the 60 seconds have elapsed. And we're going to begin with a great broadcaster, Graham Norton. Graham, here's an interesting subject. My personal assistant. I don't know whether you have one or not. But tell us something about that in this game starting now.
My personal assistant. Yes, I do have one. And no, I don't know why either. You're just supposed to. It's as if somehow I'm very busy and can't cope with all the demands of my life. This isn't really true. However, sometimes, it's handy. At the moment, while I speak, my personal assistant, and this is true, is on a train to Bexhill to collect my phone because I left it there. Now, I could have done that tomorrow when, in fact, I'll be doing laundry. So is it more sensible to pay someone to wash my clothes so I'd be free to collect the mobile device from the seaside town I mentioned, or pay, that's twice with the pay, to someone who could... I've stopped, I've rambled.
No, you've actually been interrupted.
Yes, you said mobile twice,
I know he
didn't
did.
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
I can't believe that you actually sent somebody to get your phone from Bexhill.
It's worse to ask her to do some laundry for me tomorrow while I'm driving to Bexhill.
Well, with the money you earn, you could have bought a new mobile phone.
Oh.
What's that about? That seems crazy. That seems worse. It seems worse to just abandon a phone. Otherwise, she'll just be sat in an office doing nothing.
As well as the fact...
Tomorrow's a busy day for her.
You could buy 2 phones, one for London and one for the country.
I could. You know what'll happen? I'll just leave them both somewhere. Yeah.
Right, let's get on with just a minute, shall we? Sheila, you've got about 9 seconds to go on my personal assistant, starting now.
I'm getting to the age where I very much need personal assistance. Crossing the road, putting the cat out. I have got a wonderful woman called Claire.
In this game, whoever is speaking when the whistle goes gains an extra point, and this occasion it was Sheila Hancock who was the only one who got any points in that opening round. Tony Hawks, we'd like you to begin the next round. The subject, A Tale of Two Cities. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
A Tale of Two Cities. I'm going to do a tour later this year, and one of the cities will be Exeter, the other Aberdeen. It's just a disappointment they're on consecutive nights and not very well planned by the manager of this event, as it happens. Dickens, of course, wrote a book called A Tale of Two Cities, 45 chapters or something. I remember reading it when I was little, set in Paris and London. Terrific read, well done, Chaz. Now, if I was to stand on a small mound...
Paul Chaz.
Well, hesitation slightly there.
Yeah, it was a slight hesitation. Paul, you have the subject. You have 17 seconds on A Tale of Two Cities with you, Paul, starting now.
There have been several film adaptations of A Tale of Two Cities. One thinks fondly of Dirk Bogarde, creating a magnificent heroic role for British cinema. And if we go back further in time, Ronald Colman indeed essayed this very same character in Hollywood's golden...
Sheila Hancock.
He's a character.
Did I say character
I think
twice?
you said Dirk Bogarde invented a character.
Oh, I might have done.
I think.
I thought it was roll. Did I say roll first
Did you?
time?
Maybe.
Well, that's right. Yes, well done, Paul.
Well, we'll see in the repeat. I'll check it.
Right.
However, I'm willing to concede because I'm a good player.
You're a great player. That's why you keep coming back, my darling.
Because you can't get any other women to stand up to these men. It all all stems from when Kenneth used to say you shouldn't have women on this show.
That's right, many years ago, yes. And you were one of the few who could stand up to him and shout him down. Paul, half a second to go.
Well, hang on. Can I just remind people, I was the one challenged, so it's not really my fault that there's half a second to go.
Paul, half a second, starting now.
Liverpool.
So, Paul, speaking as the whistle went, gained that extra point of others in the round. He's now taken the lead ahead of all the others. And, Sheila, we'd like you to begin the next round. The subject is making a difficult decision.
Oh.
What I have to do all the time in this show, but you tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
Do you know, I have discovered that trying to make decisions is the thing that makes me most ill. Occasionally I get a headache and I don't know why, and I think it's because I'm trying to make up my mind about something. Like in this game, I have to make a decision whether to interrupt, because then I will get a subject that possibly I know damn all about. So I think, what shall I do? Will I do that, press the buzzer, or will I actually sit tight? And I've repeated, will I?
Yes. Tony?
Yeah, repetition of will I?
Will I, yes. 31 seconds for you, Tony, making a difficult decision, starting now.
Whenever I have a difficult decision to make, I take myself down to the lakeside, sit there, pensively... Oh, I can't be bothered.
Graham, you challenge first.
Hesitation, I
It
believe.
was hesitation. Making a difficult decision, Graham, and there are 23 seconds starting now.
When I have to make a difficult decision, I think to myself, WMNPD. What might Nicholas Parsons do? Then I dwell on what action that great man might take, and with that thought in my mind, I sally forth, and that isn't the course of action I decide.
So Graham was then speaking as the whistle went. I'd like to give you a bonus point for all that flattery, Graham, but I can't favour people. You're in second place, just behind Paul Merton. And Paul, it's your turn to begin. The subject is ventriloquism. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
I've always had a big soft spot for ventriloquists. I remember with great affection one called Arthur Worsley, and his particular gimmick was that the dummy did all the talking while he himself, as a character, never spoke. I also loved Neville King, and he had an old man dummy that was...
Graham challenged.
Repetition of loved.
Yes,
Loved,
I did.
You loved Arthur Worsley?
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Pity we're going to have a whole history of all the different vents throughout the whole of the history
It's a fantastic... I always loved it.
So Graham's got in now, 45 seconds, ventriloquism starting now.
I recall one very special Christmas when I got a fort, a goldfish, and a ventriloquist dummy. His name was Finnegan. That was written on the box, and I could read. I was quite a smart child. It had ginger hair, a small cap with a sort of houndstooth check and a matching jacket. Black trousers, since you ask, and small plastic boots. It was mass manufactured, so probably wasn't the greatest ventriloquism.
Tony challenged.
Was there a hesitation there?
There's hesitation in the middle of the word.
Well, I couldn't remember what the subject was, so I was going to whether I could say ventriloquist, but it's ventriloquism.
Ventriloquism, yes.
So I couldn't say that.
Oh, I will give it to you, Tony. Hesitation, 13 seconds. Ventriloquism starting now.
A very funny ventriloquist act that my father used to find hilarious was Sandy Powell, who used to be inadequate, hopeless at doing it.
Challenge.
They're actually too used to.
That's right.
Oh,
was
was
used to do it and was used to it.
Oh, well spotted.
And you have 3 seconds, Sheila, starting now.
Tommy Cooper used to make me roar when he tried to do a ventriloquist act.
So they all got points in the round. Sheila was speaking as the whistle when gained that extra one. She's equal to Paul in the lead. And Graham, it's your turn to begin.
Oh, yes.
And now the subject is the speaking clock. 60 seconds, starting now.
I am actually very fond of the old speaking clock, or Tim, as we used to call him. How droll. When I wasn't working as an actor, sometimes I would be called to auditions. I lived in fear of someday getting a job. So I developed a monologue from a fictitious play where I was the character of the speaking clock. And I just said things like, at the third beep, the time will be 1:45. The casting people and director would look at me like I was a lunatic, close to the truth. And then I was sure I would not get the role in any production, and therefore I wouldn't have to go and do it. I wasn't very keen on being that thing that I mentioned earlier. You can tell because I'm not saying it. Now, the other factor when it comes to the
Wonderful. That hasn't happened for a while. Graham Norton, speaking as a whistleman, gained that extra point. But as he went for the full 60 seconds without being interrupted, he gets another point as well. So you're now in the lead, 1 point ahead of all the others, Graham.
I'm sweating.
Nicholas, can I make a suggestion? What's that? Well, I'd like to introduce a new thing, that if you talk for a minute without being interrupted, you get a cake as well.
Yes, if you'd like to bake them and bring them along, we'll do that.
Well, I will give you a cake. I'll send it to you through the post.
That's very nice of you.
I actually think you deserve more than one extra pill. One extra pill.
Don't give all our secrets away.
Don't tell him we're on pills.
It's because he had the pill. He did the minute in the first place. I want him drug tested afterwards. I withdraw the offer of the cake.
Jolly well have to be on pills to do this show.
All right, shall we give him an extra point?
Yeah, give him an extra point. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
exactly. Yeah.
Go on.
Graham,
Yeah, I'll take it.
it's not charity, it's just appreciation of talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Tony, it's your turn to begin, and the subject now is sending postcards. Will you tell us something about that subject in this game starting now?
In these days of electronic communication, email, Facebook, etc., everyone with their computers in little cafes when they're at the seaside, not so many people are sending postcards as they used to. Think of the poor postcard sellers on the seafront, distraught as they see passers-by stop, look at their wares, but not make a purchase. We carry on with our comfortable little life.
I'm challenged.
Can we just stop this bleak diatribe?
So sad.
It's awful.
You're in a dreadful mood.
Broken Britain.
Send the pill. Can we get the pills up this end, please? When I say up this end, I mean just at the table. I
Who
Technically, I was a bit down, but within the rules of just a minute, I think you're allowed to be.
Yes, and your challenge was...
It wasn't me, it was him.
I would say it was a deviation from the cheery norm that Radio 4 listeners expect. People listen to this show all over the world, sometimes in quite depressing places. They don't want this, Tony.
No, you're right.
They don't want to hear about unemployed postcard sellers.
I tell you what, I will concede because the strength of your argument is magnificent. Furthermore, I'll give you a second cake.
Do you want to give him the subject as well? Oh, right, that's very generous of you.
Too generous, I would say.
Right. Well, can you be less miserable on sending postcards? 32 seconds starting now.
Oh, I remember the joy and happiness of selecting a postcard on the seafront. You took it very seriously. You would examine each card and think, well, yes, that has the harbour, but you can't see the castle. Ooh, this one is at night.
Tony challenged.
Well, this is getting depressing now. There's no joy in this. Can't make a decision. It's agony. I don't think Radio 4 listeners can't take any more of that.
I didn't realise it was such a minefield.
But actually, it is all part of the culture of sending postcards, what Graham is describing. So it was an incorrect challenge.
Was it?
Yes, indeed.
Feeling miserable.
It was as correct as mine.
No, it is, and I send a lot of postcards. I always like to keep in touch. Right, 14 seconds. Another point to you, Graham. Sending postcards, starting now.
I am so sick of getting postcards from Nicholas Parsons. Every morning I wake up, there's another one. Some dull hedgerow. Wish you were here. No, I don't. don't, Nicholas. Oh, I've said that twice.
Paul challenged.
I said Nicholas twice.
He did, yes.
Repetition.
Wait, you can't have too much of Nicholas, can you? I don't know. Anyway, Paul, you've got him... Oh, with 1 second to go. Tell us something about sending postcards in 1 second, starting now.
Wish you were here.
So Paul Merton speaking as a whistle Wren gain that extra point. He's creeping up on our leader, who is still Graham Norton, and the other two are in third and fourth place. And Sheila, we'd like you to begin the next round. Oh, interesting subject. Barn dances. Have you ever been to a barn dance? If not, try and tell us something about them in this game, starting now.
Actually, I have very happy memories of barn dances, which don't have to be held in a barn. Ours was held in the Congregational Hall in Bexley Heath. It used to be for folk dances, such as the Velita or Strip the Willow. Occasionally...
Tony Chance.
Disgusting.
It's a dance, I promise you. It suddenly came
is a
from my
dance, yes.
subconscious.
I thought you said strip the widow.
No,
Strip the
willow.
Seems a bit harsh at a funeral, doesn't it?
I may be quite wrong, but I think there is a dance called
There
Strip
is,
the
my
Willow,
darling.
isn't there?
Is there a
Yeah.
dance called Strip the Willow?
We did it, Strip the Willow. We were...
Did you?
We did Strip the Widows. Sheila, you've got the benefit of the doubt, and you've got 40 seconds on barn dances starting now.
On these occasions, my mum used to be at the piano and people gave her requests. It was very popular. Some of the dances were in fours or in long lines. You used to do twirly bits and sitting down and curtsying. I remember the last waltz was the great thing because whoever asked you to have that was going to take you home. Mind you, because my mum was there, she wouldn't let me. So
Repetition of mum or...
No, I said
or
mother.
Or hesitation just before.
Oh.
I will go for hesitation.
What is you going for?
Well, I buzzed for hesitation.
I know you changed, didn't you? You went for mum
Well,
first.
she said mum, then mother, and then I thought, well...
No, she knew what
Oh,
she
I've
said.
made a ghastly error.
No, an incorrect challenge. You did say mother first. And 15 seconds, Sheila, with you on barn dances starting now.
I believe that nowadays barn dances have turned into something called line dancing, where you have a caller and people do American, such as the Velita.
All right, there was a slight hesitation.
Yeah.
There was a slight hesitation, and you started with the subject, and you've gone for 58 seconds.
Oh, you're joking!
Yes. Oh, I thought you were
Never
going to
mind,
get on
I
to the...
did very hesitate.
Yeah, I thought you were going to get onto the Dashing White Sergeant, which was one
Oh,
I
that
remember.
was one, yeah.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
Strange names.
The Dashing White Sergeant?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
That was a good one.
You know?
So did you have to go home with the person who you did the last waltz?
Yeah,
You
in
had...
those days you did.
Was
Well,
this
you
a-
didn't have to. My
didn't
mother
have
wouldn't
to.
let me. But I mean, if somebody asked you to do the last waltz, it usually meant that they wanted you to go home with them.
That's
Wow.
right.
It was very chaste, darling. Just left you at the back door. That's all.
It was all very discreet.
I think discreet is different than chaste, Nicholas.
Well, it was. It was a discreet kiss under the portals of the house.
A kiss under where?
Under the portals.
How was that last night? I would have kissed me under the portals.
So, Paul, you got in with 2 seconds on barn dances starting now.
Barn dances, farmer's shop.
I think, as Sheila did 58 seconds,
Yes, absolutely.
didn't get that extra point for going for the extra 2. She should have an extra point anyway. But Paul gets it for speaking with the whistle went, right? Oh, following what we've been talking about, Paul, here's an interesting subject on which we want you to begin. Achieving longevity. 60 seconds starting now.
Well, to be given this subject by Nicholas Parsons is indeed a compliment, because if anybody has achieved longevity, it's the esteemed chairman of this magnificent show, fast on Radio 4 in 1967. Just a Minute remains one of the most popular broadcast in its medium ever shows ever made, and I can say radio again. But you know what I meant.
Hesitation.
I know, what a pity. I was enjoying it so much.
Never missed a recording, have you, Nicholas?
42 seconds, Tony, on achieving longevity starting now.
There are 7 ways of achieving longevity. 1, go down to the lake and think carefully before you take a difficult decision. 2, be utterly miserable most of the time. 3, stand next to somebody in a bus queue who is more wealthy than you. 4, talk utter rubbish in the hope that someone will challenge you.
Paul, you challenge.
His wish was granted. It was sort of, it's not really, you can't achieve longevity by standing next to somebody in a bus stop who's got more money than you.
Absolutely.
I don't think the other 3 were that good.
No, well, that was the benefit of the doubt. Why did you announce 7 ways? You couldn't think of one.
No. Yes, there is a
Wasn't
flaw
one
there.
sensible or positive way amongst that list you gave us. And, Paul, you got in with 18 seconds to go, achieving longevity starting now.
There are 15,000 ways of achieving longevity. First you start 1.
Tony challenge.
I'm afraid he's 14,993 out. Everybody knows there's 7.
Well, you didn't. You couldn't think of 1.
Well, if I didn't know what 7 were, how are you going to go what 15,000 were?
You can't judge my ignorance by your standards.
So what is your challenge within the rules?
Well,
of Justice?
deviation.
Why?
There aren't 15,000.
No, there aren't. I mean, there are no more than there's 7. No, I
yes.
think I give benefit of doubt on this one and say 14 seconds.
Just to remind you, you were on reason number 3. Out of your 7.
Right. So, Tony, achieving longevity, 14 seconds, starting now.
The 7th one, because I'd like to work backwards now, is to eat healthy food. Few people would disagree with this sensible advice. Carrots!
Sheila, challenge.
I disagree, actually. Whenever you see people who've reached 100, they usually say things like, I have a glass of whiskey before I go to bed, and they don't eat sensible food, so I don't believe in any of that.
Not necessarily, but it could be one of the ways that people do achieve longevity.
I think there's more going for it than standing next to somebody who's got more money than you at a bus stop. I don't know why you didn't start with this one. Why did you make that number 7? Why not make that number 1? Because it actually means something.
Well, if I get the subject back, I might extend that.
Oh, no, don't put yourself out on my account.
So,
You
right.
should let me have the subject, because I'm 78, and I can tell you how I've reached that age. Sheer luck is the answer.
Oh.
And pills. Lots of pills.
Sheer luck and pills. That's 6 and 5. I was coming to them.
Oh, tell us what 4 was. It's the only one we haven't had.
Well, I'm older than you, Sheila.
I know.
And,
Well, you can have the subject.
Oh, why don't we let Nicholas have the subject?
How many seconds are left?
Yeah, Nicholas.
Right. 4 seconds. There are many ways in achieving longevity. One is eating sensibly, another one is taking plenty of exercise. Well, at the end, we're just moving into the final round. Oh, it's very interesting. Paul Merton's just in the lead, 1 point ahead of Graham Norton, who's 1 point ahead of Sheila Hancock, who's 3 points ahead of Tony Hawkes, and Nicholas Parsons has got 1 point. When the whistle went. Right. Yeah. I don't think I have a chance of winning. And
It's quite good news for me that you're there, though. Otherwise, I'd be in last place.
Graham, we'd like you to begin this round.
Nicholas.
The subject is eavesdropping. 60 seconds starting now.
Eavesdropper, beware. For though it seems very interesting and fun to overhear a conversation that you're not supposed to, often you will hear. Have I said that? Yes, I have.
Yes, repetition of here.
Yes, he said here before. Eavesdropping is with you, Tony. 45 seconds available starting now.
We have some eaves in the barn where I do a lot of dancing, and the birds get up there, and there are so many droppings, it's quite unpleasant. I'm trying to do a willow stripping.
Again, chance.
Strip the willow, not willow stripping. Strip the willow.
He's talking about bird droppings, not
Yes.
eavesdroppings.
Yeah,
the
that's
eaves
right.
aren't pooing on you.
No, it is listening in on other people's conversation.
Well, I thought we were encouraged to take things off in other directions, in
You are.
humorous
You
and
are.
enlightening ways.
Oh, now he's going to be depressed.
Yeah.
You are, Tony. You are allowed to do that.
Now I feel awful.
You're depressed.
Well, except he's always like this, so what does it matter?
You
Graham-
can make it worse.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you have 35 seconds on eavesdropping starting now.
There was a man in our office. Nobody liked him. And one day, 2 other people who worked in said bureau were on the train coming to the place where they earned money. And the person...
Hesitation.
Yes. So you see, you get back in, Tony. It's all very fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
19 seconds, eavesdropping, starting now.
I will very often tiptoe outside the confessional in a Catholic church, even though I'm not of that faith, and listen.
Paul, challenge.
If you're not of that faith, what are you doing in a Catholic church?
Well, I'm going in there to hear all the confessions.
But you just said you didn't.
What do you mean I didn't?
Oh, you do want to eavesdrop on people's confessions?
I can't remember what I said.
Well, you can go into a Catholic church, you're not a Catholic, just when you go touring in Europe and all those beautiful cathedrals and churches,
Yes.
which are Roman Catholic, you go in to admire the beauty
But
and the...
Tony isn't going in to admire. He is going in to sneak up and listen to confession, which I think is deviation of the worst kind.
That is. He did...
Well, I wouldn't say it was deviation of the worst kind, but I'll go with what you're saying generally, just for the sake of light entertainment.
He went in originally for other reasons. So you have the benefit of the doubt on this one, Tony, and you still have eavesdropping and 11 seconds starting now.
I had 7 reasons for going into the said place of worship. 1, I had spent some time standing next to somebody wealthier than I had.
Oh, what an interesting final result. I can't believe it. Tony Hawks and Sheila Hancock were equal with 8 points in second place. And only 1 point ahead were equal winners Graham Norton and Paul Merton. A round of all 4 of them. So a very fair result because they all contributed so much and was such fun. And all I have to say is I hope you've enjoyed the show. And I give my thanks to these 4 fine players of the game, Paul Merton, Tony Hawks, Sheila Hancock, Graham Norton. I thank Sarah Sharp, who's helped me with the score, blown her whistle delightfully when the 60 seconds elapsed. And we are grateful to our producer, Talusha Gilani, and we're indebted to Ian Messiter, who created this amazing game. And we're very grateful to this lovely audience here in the Radio Theatre, who cheered us on our way. So from the audience, from me, Nicholas Parsons, and the team up here, goodbye, and tune in the next time we play Just a Minute. Yay! Welcome to Just a Minute. Thank you. Hello. My name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, once more it's my huge pleasure to welcome our many listeners, not only in this country, but around the world. But to welcome to the show 4 exciting, talented players of this game who've come here to express themselves in words and language. And they are seated on my right. We have Phill Jupitus and Julian Clary, and seated on my left, Josie Lawrence and Rick Wakeman. Please welcome all 4 of them. Beside me sits Sarah Sharp, who's going to help me keep the score. She'll blow the whistle when the 60 seconds have elapsed. And we'll begin the show with Josie Lawrence, darling, who better? Josie, I think it applies to you. The first time wearing spectacles. I think you used to. Do you still do?
No, I still do. I've got contact here. I'm blind as a bat. Yeah.
Right. Will you talk on the subject? 60 seconds starting now.
I remember it so well. 9 years old, and I heard, "Will the children go to the main hall for eye tests?" Now, my vision had been getting blurry for a few months. Everything looked like an expressionist or an impressionist painting, and I didn't even know what that meant at that age. That's how bad it had got. I stood there and the nurse said, "Now, dear, just look at the board and tell me what you could see." The letter E, that was all. She handed me a brown paper envelope and said, "You're going to have to be wearing spectacles soon, darling. Give this to your mummy and daddy." I was an actress even then. I ran into the playground, screaming, ranting, raving, "No, I'm going to be wearing spectacles!"
Julian, you challenged.
Repetition of wearing.
It's in the
It's
title.
in the
is it?
title, yes.
Oh, I do
You can
apologise.
repeat the words.
It's all
in the
right, my
thing.
love.
So sorry, Julian, but you have an incorrect challenge. So you get
And
a
it's a
point for
true
that.
story
Yes.
as well.
I know, it doesn't really matter. And and you get a point for an incorrect challenge. You keep the subject. You have 15 seconds to go. My first time wearing spectacles starting now.
The sewing teacher, lovely Mrs. Bailey, said, "Oh, come on, it's not that bad. I wear
Rick challenged.
Repetition of the word bad.
Oh, yes, earlier on you said it was bad. Yes,
did.
yes, you did.
I don't
Sorry,
mind.
Josie.
So well, listen, Rick.
one day."
So, Rick, you've got in with 8 seconds to go on this subject.
8 seconds.
Yes. You've done all the hard work, and he's only got 8 seconds now to take it in. My
Men.
first time wearing spectacles, Rick. Starting now.
I went to the optician when I was about 40 years old to have an eye test, and it was a Polish lady who took it.
Josie challenge.
He said a poshish lady.
Well, she was Polish. She was... She actually, she came from Poland, but she had a speech impediment.
I think she's got you, actually.
I think that's fair enough.
Josie, you were complaining about 8 seconds, but you've cleverly got in with 1 second to go. You've won no friends, but you've got another point. And you've got this, you know the subject. 1 second to go, starting now.
And so...
In this game, whoever is speaking when the whistle goes gains an extra point. On this occasion, it was Josie Lawrence, and you won't be surprised to know she's in a strong lead at the end of the first round. Phill Jupitus, will you begin the second round? A lovely subject. Cartoons. Is it something you love or not? Anyway, talk about it. 60 seconds, starting now.
When I was a young boy, I used to spend my summer days watching cartoons. While everybody else was out scampering around the park or the countryside, there I was, ensconced in front of the television, enjoying the finest art form that man has ever brought to bear. Yes, cartoons. 24 drawings spliced together every second to bring us an image of joy, of laughter, of pain. Rabbits, ducks, and other characters frolicking around the screen with gay abandon. How one enjoyed to see this marvellous spectacle while one's friends were there in the...
Josie challenge.
Sorry, I was so excited, my thumb went down. But I'm sorry, Nicholas. I know I've lost a point. I'm
No,
sorry.
yes, you have, because he did actually repeat something.
Yeah. Oh, did it?
It's
Oh,
too
one.
late. It's too late now.
Oh, you little
No, I
tease,
can't do
little
that.
tease.
No, it wouldn't be fair. If you can remember it, you can come in later. So you have 25 seconds
No,
still.
but thank you for reminding everybody else that there is a potential challenge out there as soon as they remember it. I like this.
But that's the fun we have in this game.
I
Phil.
know,
Yeah.
it's cheeky. Right. How long have I got?
You've got 25 seconds.
Never going to happen.
Yes. and you're not exhausted from cartoons yet. I'm sure you've got more to tell us. And you begin now.
Mickey Mouse appeared...
Julian challenge.
Was it screen?
No, it wasn't. You're all going to try now, don't worry. No, it wasn't. So,
Wasn't it?
But the audience enjoyed your interruption because it was rather amusing and clever. So we give you a bonus point for the interruption. But Phil gets a point for being interrupted, and he's still got the subject. 23 seconds on cartoons starting now.
Tex Avery was an animator who was born in Texas who made some of the finest cartoons we have ever seen to this day. One of the greatest was called Red...
Julian challenge.
Repetition of scene.
Yes, that's right. You saw them before. You'll see the cartoons. You'll see
I
them.
will see them again.
And Julian, you've cleverly got in with 14 seconds to go. The subject is cartoons. You've got another point, of course, and you begin now.
What a marvellous world where a cat can defeat a mouse. Or is it the other way around? No one seems to have noticed. But I think it's a lovely, colourful world, the environment of cartoons, where the...
Phil challenge.
Repetition of world.
Yes, that's right. He did repeat world.
You were quite late coming in with that.
I know, he was quite late.
I know, but
Times I've
Nicholas
said
hadn't
that.
reminded me that you'd made a repetition.
Whoops.
Was it television?
I'll tell you when this one round is over. So it was a correct challenge to Phill Jupitus with 2 seconds to go on cartoons starting now.
Chuck Jones made one of the...
Phill Jupitus But then, speaking of the whistle when gained that extra point, he's now taken the lead at the end of that round. The word he repeated was friends.
Oh.
He said about friends quite early on, then he talked about something again with his friends later.
When you don't have many, you mention them a lot.
Rick, will you begin the next round? Oh, a lovely subject. King Arthur. Tell us something about King Arthur in this game, starting now.
When I was a little boy of 6 years old, I was sent to a village in Cornwall called Trafalgar, which was very close to Tintagel, the home of King Arthur's castle. Although that's not strictly true because it's a Norman building and not one built at the time of King Arthur. I bought the word. Very cool.
Josie, you challenge.
He started talking oldie-worldy English then. Oh, right.
I learnt it from the Posish woman.
I think we'll interpret that as hesitation. Or don't. I mean, actually, it's deviation from English as we understand it, really.
That's
isn't
true.
It? That's probably the correct challenge. So anyway, Josie, you've got it. You've got 41 seconds on King Arthur, starting now.
If Arthur hadn't been a king, he would have been a brilliant dentist, very good at extracting things from difficult places. He pulled the sword out of the stone, Excalibur, and off...
Phill,
I think you'll find it's Excalibur.
I think she said Excalibur, didn't she?
Excalibur.
I said Excalibur.
You said Excalibur.
I said Excalibur.
Well, it's gone further to travel to you, Phil. I should explain to our listeners. Phil's one side of the room and Josie's the other. Josie's right beside me. And I think she actually said Excalibur.
If only someone had recorded this, Nicholas, and we could hear it.
Well, when the show is actually transmitted, if I'm wrong, I will send a nice little gift to you.
A point will suffice, Nicholas.
No, I think she said Excalibur. It came over to me as Excalibur, and I'm sure that's what she meant to say if it didn't come out as Excalibur. Often, if you say X, it sounds like a bit like S. And so, Josie...
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend was always telling me that.
You have what I call the benefit of the doubt. And if I can redress the balance sometime later, Phil, in your favour, I will do so. So the benefit of the doubt to Josie, 30 seconds to go on King Arthur, starting now.
He created Camelot, but the trouble was it was a time of peace. King Arthur didn't know what to do with his knights, so he'd make up different quests, like, go off and get me a cup. A cup?
Rick challenge. What's the challenge, Rick?
Can I challenge myself?
No, Rick's light came on first, so his was the first challenge. What was it?
He had a lot of cups. He had an awful lot of cups.
Why did he have to go and look for any more?
He didn't need any, did he, really?
No, right, Rick, you've got a correct challenge. You have 19 seconds. Tell us more about King Arthur, starting now.
I bought a book when I was down there, and it was very interesting because it laid the benefit for me of making an album about King Arthur and all of his knights, such as...
Julian, you challenge first, yes.
And that was hesitation.
That was a definite hesitation. So you got in on King Arthur with 7 seconds to go, starting now.
King Arthur had a marvellous table that was his pride and joy. It was round, so they do say, and he polished it every...
I love the way you went into period English when you were talking about him, as they do say. Right. So, Julian, it's a very interesting situation. Josie's in the lead by 1 point ahead of Phill, Jupitus and Julian, Clary, and then Rick is 2 points behind. Anybody's game still, if you're interested in the points. I think the entertainment is more important, but doesn't matter. The audience couldn't care bloody less, could they? Julian, will you begin the next round? Tell us something about Eurostar. That's the subject. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Well, it's a tunnel, I believe, that was built by 6 men. Took them 3 weeks. One of them took their shirt off. Such hard, arduous toil. Now, of course, you pop along to St. Pancras, purchase your ticket, and look out the window. And before you can say, Jack Robinson, you're in Paris, where they do speak funny. I could put on a tempted French accent, but I'm not going to. Eurostar, it's a tribute, I think, to technical expertise. What a marvellous thing. Would our grandparents have believed in this day and age that in a matter of hours we could be on a whole new continent, travelling under the deep blue ocean? I personally...
Rick challenged.
It's not an ocean, it's a river.
It's not a river.
It's not the Rother
Well, it's not
Channel,
a river,
isn't
but it's a channel, isn't it?
It's a channel.
It's
but
a channel, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, when
A
is a
river
channel an
channel.
ocean and not an ocean? And it's...
Oh, there's a big difference.
yes, I know there is.
Yeah.
Um,
The Polish woman told me.
I think that I should give the benefit of the doubt to Julian and say that... no, you, because, yes, it's because it's not an ocean. It could be, I'll probably get letters saying it's all part of the Atlantic Ocean or something like that, but we know it as the English Channel. So, benefit of the doubt to you, Rick, and you had 18 seconds. Tell us something about Eurostar starting now.
Just last week, I went to Ebbsfleet Station to catch the...
Julian challenge.
It's not a station. It's a terminal.
Is it a terminal, audience?
It's a station.
No,
Station? No, I was attempting a joke. At the expense of Ebbsfleet.
Well, you've got a couple of good laughs, so give him a bonus point for that. And you get a point because it was an incorrect challenge, and you keep Eurostar, and you don't keep it, you keep the subject. And 15 seconds starting now.
The ticket collector looked at me and said, Eurostar, and I said, well, I'm not as famous as Julian and Clary.
So Jupitus challenge.
Oh, it's 2 cents.
Oh, that's right, yes, 2 cents. Phill, 10 seconds are still available. Tell us something about Eurostar, starting now.
I journeyed from the beautiful station of King's Cross, where you...
Julian challenge.
That's a terminal.
It is a terminal. We didn't say travel to, he travelled from it. So you go to a terminal to pick up the train to travel, don't you?
I don't know. I don't travel by train.
No, I don't think it's a legitimate challenge. I really don't. So, Phill, anyway, I said I'd give you the benefit of the doubt if it
Thank
came
you.
up. So that's
Thank you,
redress the
Nicholas.
balance. You've got the benefit of the doubt. You've got 5 seconds. Eurostar starting now.
Across the road.
Josie challenge.
Well, he said King's Cross, and it's actually King's Cross St Pancras.
Yeah, from King's Cross across the road to St Pancras. The magnificent journey isn't just the one to France. Let me tell you, that's a beautiful road you cross. Taxis, people, whores, everything.
And a lot of rebuilding at the moment because I came down it today and it took ages and it's blocked off at the end. Right, Eurostar still with you, Phill. 4 seconds starting now.
As you walk into the beautiful premises of St Pancras Station, there is...
So Phill Jupitus was then speaking as the whistle went, gained the extra point for doing so, and he's taken the lead ahead of the other 3 who are almost equal in second place. Josie, it's your turn to begin, and we'd like you to take the subject of water cooler moments. 60 seconds starting now.
Water cooler moments are those lovely little things that happen usually in the office. There's Geraldine and May. They want to talk about Sarah, but she's sitting next to them.
What's she doing next to them? Was this south of the river?
It's a good try, but actually, I think she was sitting quite innocently beside her, so an incorrect challenge.
Well, it's ruined my evening.
But we enjoyed hearing from you, Julian. I've given you a couple of bonus points already. I can't give you any more at the moment. 50 seconds are still available. Water cooler moments is still with you, Josie, starting now.
Are you thirsty, dear? Yes, I am actually. So off they go to the water cooler for a bit of a gossip. There are other things that can happen at the water cooler. Flirtations. There's Jeremy with little Lillian. They're having a lovely little time together.
Phill Jones.
A couple of littles there.
Yes, I know. I know.
You're running out of steam, weren't you, as well?
I
really?
was. I wasn't.
Well, I think it's a very difficult subject on which to talk. So I
Well,
think you
I've
did
had some water
extremely
cooler
well.
moments myself.
Perhaps you need a nice sit.
I think you're getting bonus points all along, Julian. Phill, correct challenge. You have water cooler moments. 34 seconds starting now.
Water cooler moments are something which those who make television programs pursue in order to find their demographics. Yes, if people discuss television programs...
Josie, you challenge first.
Television,
yes, you've got it back again, Josie. 25 seconds. Tell us more about your water cooler moments starting now.
And then, of course, there's Cedric. He's having a bit of trouble down below after the curry last night, and the toilet is too far away, so he'll travel up to the water cooler for a bit of a moment.
Rick challenged.
A lot of bits.
Yes, there was
Did
a
I
bit
say
of this.
bit a
Yeah,
lot?
there's been a lot of bits.
Oh, that's all right.
So he let a couple go, but he got you on the third one. 12
You'll never
seconds
know what
available.
Cedric did.
Rick, water cooler moments starting now.
Water cooler moments is a very interesting subject for me because I have never actually had any water cooler moments. So it might be prudent for me to either repeat myself, hesitate, or even deviate.
So Rick Wakeman was then speaking as a whistle when gained that extra point. It's very close, you know. Rick, Josie and Julian, they're all equal in second place. And they're just 2 or 3 points behind Phill Jupitus, who also starts the next round. Phill, the subject is the red carpet. Tell us something about that, which figures in our profession quite a lot, and your time starts now.
The red carpet is a place where those who are famous gather in number, where they can be seen by the great and the good, and even the general public can be seen milling around.
Josie, you're listening well.
2 scenes.
Yes, you got in first. The red carpet is now with you, with 49 seconds to go, starting now.
The carpet of celebrity could not be yellow. That would be too bright and show the marks. It couldn't be blue. That would be...
Rick challenged.
Couldn't be.
Yes, all right.
So, Rick, you got in on the red carpet, and you have 42 seconds to tell us something about it, starting now.
I once arrived at a hotel in Beverly Hills where the red carpet was laid out from the front door. I stood on it and the doorman came rushing out and said, "Please get off, it's reserved for Stevie Wonder." I said, "That's a bit of a shame, isn't it, really?" And he said, "It's for important people and you are not impotent."
So, Josie, what was your challenge?
Important.
No, actually,
'Cause
he
you're
didn't
right,
get
he
the
said
word out before you challenged.
It's like the Mayor of Dudley joke. Do you know that one?
No, tell us.
The Mayor of Dudley goes to visit a prostitute, but he's having trouble, and she says, "Am you impotent?" He says, "Of course I'm impotent. I'm the Mayor of Dudley."
That's a lovely brummy accent. But actually, you challenged only after you said "im."
Imp. You're right. You're quite right.
And so, therefore, it's an incorrect challenge, isn't it?
Mea culpa.
And you've actually helped him, because he was going to say important.
I was.
And so, Rick, you've got the benefit of the doubt. You have 24 seconds. Tell us more about the red carpet starting now.
It's not always the red carpet in other countries. In Indonesia, it's the orange carpet, because that's the colour that they really like for important people. Who are impotent.
And unless the King of Indonesia is impotent, I think... And if His Majesty is listening, I cast no aspersions.
And you have the red carpet. Phill, 13 seconds starting now.
At film premieres, one can see celebrities the like of which one has never... Oh, my...
Josie.
One,
the like, and the like, yes. Josie, you've got in with 8 seconds to go on the red carpet, starting now.
There's something so exciting about going to an award ceremony and seeing the people there, the flashes.
Julian challenged.
Repetition of people.
Yes, you mentioned people before.
Oh,
Yes.
before I can remember.
They were different people, though, weren't they?
Yes, they were different people.
They were different people. But what matters in this show is the words.
I know.
So, Julian, you've got in, and you've got the red carpet as a subject, and you have only 2 seconds to go, starting... Ooh. Starting now.
Carry On Columbus was my only experience.
So, Julian was speaking as a whistle when gained that extra point. It's now in sequence 1 point, separating all of them. Julian, Rick, Josie, and Phill in that order. 1 point, each one is ahead of the other. So, Rick, would you begin the next round? The smartest person I know. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
The smartest person I know can mean 2 things. Either how they dress, if they look fabulous, or for their intelligence. The 2 intelligent people that I know...
Josie challenge.
Two.
Yes, right. Josie, you've got in with 50 seconds to go on the smartest person I know, starting now.
The smartest person I know is a professor of art. He would say, "Look, that painter doesn't need to fill this canvas. It is already full. What of?" I would ask. "Tau," he would say. I'm not sure if he's the smartest person I know or just really stupid, because I've never understood a blinking word he's ever said.
Julian challenged.
Well, that's deviation then. The subject is the smartest person, and you're talking about the most stupid person.
But I was discussing whether smart and stupid are one and the same.
But she was conveying that she didn't understand it, so it's conveying that she would be stupid.
It's not
but
that
him.
difficult.
Julian, I'll tell you what I do. I've given...
I am last, remember?
Yes. No, you're in fourth place. I've given the benefit of the doubt to Josie before,
yes.
So you can have a benefit of the doubt this time, and you will have the subject of 29 seconds to go. The smartest person I know, starting now.
The smartest person I know is my Uncle Ken, who wears a full three-piece suit and tweeds and a hat and fresh underpants, even to put the rubbish out on a Friday morning. And when he goes gardening, he even...
Phill challenged.
Just a smidge of hesitation there.
Yeah, there was a definite hesitation.
One repetition.
After the gardening. Was there a repetition?
Even.
Good Lord. Well, I'll have that if you like, Julian.
14 seconds for you, Phill, on the smartest person I know, starting now.
The smartest person I know is Stephen Fry. I appear with him on the programme QI, where he exhibits some extraordinary dexterous mental skills, showing how much he knows of many, many subjects.
One of the... No, it isn't. It's so easy. This is what's so fun about this game. So fun.
Fun? This should be banned by the Geneva Convention.
And then we wouldn't be employed. We wouldn't get the work. We don't ban it. No. No, let it proliferate around the world.
We could work at Guantanamo Bay, Nicholas. You in the red boiler suit.
Challenge first. There's many. The smartest person I know. And you've got him with 1 second to go. And you start now.
The smartest person
So, Rick Wakeman, speaker of the whistle, went. He's now equal in second place with Josie Lawrence, 1 point behind Phill Jupitus, and 1 point behind them is Julian Clary. So, I've had a message that we're moving into the final round. And Josie, it's your turn to begin. The subject is a strange one here, the way to a Welshman's heart.
Oh.
You laugh already. Do you know some Welshmen?
I do.
Oh, good, right. 60 seconds starting now.
There'll always be a welcome in my valley for a Welshman. The way to a Welshman's heart is this. Humour and music. They love it. Think how sexy Welshmen are. Tom Jones, Richard Burton, Aled, they're all wonderful. Just invite them round for a meal and then start singing at them. Oh, come over by her, they'll say. So bloody gorgeous. I've known so many Welshmen in my time. The first one was called Matthew. He seemed quiet at first, but once I wore my little daffodil dress and shook my nushy at him, he was anybody's. I got straight to his heart. Welshmen are so precise in what they want from a woman. They like them to be sturdy, honest, and ever-consuming in their loyalty towards them. Another man I knew was called Tarquin, a strange...
Julian Challenge.
Oh, what a shame to interrupt you. There was more than one man in your life.
But we loved hearing about them, Josie, and the irony of this is you went for 53 seconds and you've got nothing to show
I was
for it
making
except
it up, Mother.
But it was deeply appreciated, not only by all of us here, but also it will be by the listeners. And
Nicholas, sorry, could I go off and have a cold shower, please?
I think we all need one, actually. You had a correct challenge, Julian.
Thank you.
And so you have 7 seconds to tell us something about the way to a Welshman's heart.
The best way to a Welshman's heart is through his rarebit. Get that right, and he'll stay with you for life. You'll play...
Oh, well, what an interesting result, and what a fair result, because they all gave such wonderful value and also humorous and clever. But Josie Lawrence and Julian Clary finished up equal in second place. And They were only 2 points behind our joint winners, Phill Jupitus and Rick Wakeman. A round of applause for the two there. It only remains me to say thank you to these four fine, exciting and humorous players of the game. Phill Jupitus, Julian, Clary, Josie, Lawrence, Rick Wakeman. I think Sarah Sharp, who's helped me with the score. She's blown her whistle with such delicacy. We're grateful to our producer, to Lucia Galani. We're indebted to Ian Messiter, who created this amazing and unusual game. And we're very grateful to this lovely audience here in the Radio Theatre who cheered us on our way. So from the audience, from me, Nicholas Parsons, and the team up here, goodbye, and tune in the next time we play Just a Minute. Yay! Welcome to Just a Minute. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, it's my huge pleasure to welcome our many listeners around the world, but also to welcome to the programme four exciting, talented performers who are going to display their talent. They are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Alun Cochrane, and seated on my left, Jason Byrne and Gyles Brandreth. Please welcome all four of them. Seated beside me is Sarah Sharp, who's going to help me with the score. She'll blow the whistle when the 60 seconds have elapsed. And this particular edition of Just a Minute is coming from the BBC tent at Potter Row at Edinburgh during the Festival Fringe. And we have a lovely, warm Festival Fringe audience in front of us who are dying for us to get started. So let's begin the show with Paul Merton. Paul, the subject here, a very topical one, Scottish air. Tell us something about that in this game, starting now.
Well, I've never done Just a Minute before under such a beautiful twilight sky. And it reminds me that here the air in Scotland is fresher than you'll ever find in London. If you march across the moors, the highlands and lowlands, and you feel your lungs filling with Scottish air, you realise that it's powerful for the system. It blows the cobwebs away. Previous thoughts of bad bad thoughts. I say thoughts again.
Yeah. Gyles, your challenge.
A hesitation.
That was a hesitation, Gyles. And you have got the subject now, Scottish air. You get a point for a correct challenge. And there are 35 seconds still available. Scottish air with you, Gyles, starting now.
I have breathed the sweetness of Scottish air when on holiday with the heir to the throne. Prince Charles invited me on a camping expedition in the grounds of Balmoral. William erected the tent with his thin, girlish arms, but Harry punched in the stakes. I don't know where he gets it from. And the air was sweet and lovely. I breathed deeply and thought to myself, that's Camilla on her woodbines. Why was she smirking? It was because of the midges which surround the grounds, nipping and tucking, avoiding...
Right. In this game, whoever is speaking when the whistle goes gains an extra point. On this occasion, it was Gyles Brandreth. And at the end of that first round, he's the only one who's got any points at all. Jason Byrne, welcome to the show. First time.
I was a bit confused there. Was that deviation? No. You were talking... Was it Scottish air, as in the stuff you breathed?
No,
and then you went off and went camping.
But with the heir to the Scottish as well as the English and Irish and Welsh throne, you see.
Ah, air!
And we were breathing Scottish air.
I know, Jason, this is your first time on the show. So let me say, it's not the way it's written. It's the way it sounds to the ear. Because it's radio...
To the air?
Well, right, Jason, let's begin. The subject for you is David and Goliath. Tell us something about that in this game, starting now.
The Philistines gathered together to start a war against the Israelis. For 40 days, a very large man called Goliath taunted the Israelis. As they... Oh!
Alun, you've challenged.
I really didn't want to, but I thought he might be glad of it, to be absolutely honest.
Are you doing me for hesitation?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of racist, because that's my accent.
I think I detected a slight hesitation. I'm happy for you to give him the benefit of the doubt, Nicholas.
And there was also a deviation, because they weren't the Israelis, they were the Israelites.
I mean, that was near enough.
We loved it. We've got you here for the fun.
Yes. I do feel like I've been thrown into the lions.
No, right. Alan, correct challenge. And you have the subject of David and Goliath. 21 seconds available, starting now.
David and Goliath are one of the finest comedy double acts to perform at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. I appreciate the Scottish air whilst walking to their venue. I only ever breathed Scottish air until I was 7 years old. I think I may have been caught trying to pander.
Paul, challenge, yes? What
Repetition of Scottish air.
Yes, right. Yeah. So, Paul, you have another point, and you have the subject, and you have 8 seconds to go. David and Goliath, starting now.
It was an unholy challenge. David looked up at Goliath. He towered over his opponent, but he looked down and said...
Giles, challenge.
Looked up and then looked down.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yeah. Right. Yeah. And, Giles, you got in with 1 second to go. It's a correct challenge, but you haven't endeared yourself to anyone in the audience. 1 second on David and Goliath, starting now.
4 cubits in a hand.
So at the end of that round, Gyles Brandreth, who speaks as a whistle when, gained an extra point. He's increased his lead at the end of the round. And Alan Cochrane, we'd like you to begin the next round. My mysterious uncle. Will you tell us something about that?
Very good.
It's laughing already, aren't you, Jason?
Yes,
right? Well, try and get the subject and show it. Right. 60 seconds as usual. Alan, starting now.
My mysterious uncle was so shrouded in mystery, it wasn't until 5 years after his death we realised he was a she. My mysterious uncle stood at 6'7" with a ginger moustache atop his lip and was a wonderful man, quite strange, spoke in an accent that nobody else could understand. Hello, children, how are you doing? We would say, where are you from, mysterious uncle? And what is it that you do for a living? He wore a long trench coat and came back with it full of money each night, and underneath it, no discernible clothing. I don't know what my mysterious uncle did, but everything that he did had mystique. And my mysterious uncle drove a big...
Jason, you pressed your buzzer.
I did press it, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't hear anybody else buzzing in. I thought we were being nice. Is he allowed to say mysterious uncle 700 times?
You can repeat the subject on the card as often as you like.
Oh,
within reason.
yes, I knew that!
You didn't know it. But he did repeat didn't he?
He did, yes. Thank you, Uncle. I mean, Nicholas.
Jason, I'm flattered to be your mysterious uncle.
Yes.
He did repeat did, and...
yes, he did. Repetition on did.
And now we're going to hear my mysterious uncle from you, Jason. 20 seconds to go, starting now.
Oh, and what a mysterious uncle my mysterious uncle is. Such a mysterious chap that he is. Often he would arrive into the house in his striped jacket. We'd wonder, why are you wearing that striped jacket? Oh! I seen it coming. It was there. I said, don't say striped jacket again. Why is it in your face? Put it to the side. Say other clothing.
Paul.
Repetition of striped jacket.
Yeah,
yes,
sorry.
that's right. Right. And Paul, you have 10 seconds to tell us something about my mysterious uncle, starting now.
Every Halloween, we would hear a mysterious noise emanating from the cellar. One by individual, we would go down the steps and see what was happening there.
Paul Merton was in, speaking as a whistle when, gained that extra point. He's now just 1 point behind our leader, Gyles Brandreth. The other two have got 1 point apiece. And we're moving back to you, Gyles, to begin. I think for Edinburgh this could be a topical subject. Tramways. That struck a chord with the audience here. And maybe you'll explain why, Gyles, as you start on the subject. 60 seconds going now.
I think you must be psychic, Nicholas, because of all the subjects in the world that I would most like to have today, tramways is the one.
Right.
Teddy bears is something that people think I'm interested in, but no, tramways in general, and Edinburgh tramways in particular, are my specialist subject when it comes to taking part in Mastermind. Back in 1871, the first trams were introduced into the great capital city of Scotland. Then they were four-wheelers, they were horse-drawn, and it wasn't until a few years later that they began to have tramways that involved actually stirrup pumps and then electricity in the following century, in the first year of the new age. And curiously, it was a man named Alun MacDonald who devised this original tramway device. In 1922, the company was sold to a new family, the Ordines. And these people...
Well, that applause was for what you said, Gyles. Congratulations. But, Paul, you challenged.
Well, it was a hesitation as he realised he was about to repeat the name of the family.
Yeah.
That's right, yes,
It
indeed.
was. It
So
was.
the name
But it
came
was
up, and he
brilliant.
couldn't think of another name for the family.
Yeah,
And
that's their name.
well said, Paul. You have got in with 7 seconds to go.
Oh, no.
I feel your disappointment.
No, that's the game, and you were listening well, and you got him in on the correct challenge. Tramways with you, Paul, starting now.
The people who run this magnificent city looked at tramways all over the world and said to themselves, this is good enough for Edinburgh. But sadly, they've done it all so wrong, it's all gone...
So Paul Merton was again speaking as the whistle went, gained that extra point. And he's now gone one ahead of Gyles, and the other two are trailing a little with 1 point apiece. And, Paul, it's your turn to begin, and the subject is My Time as a Butler. I don't know whether you've buttled or not, but if you haven't, talk on the subject, starting now.
I wrote a sketch for a TV series I did many years ago which featured me playing the part of a butler. For reasons I can't remember now, the particular piece of whimsy never made it onto the cathode ray...
Gyles challenged.
Hesitation.
Yes, he was trying to get Café Rouge out and stumbled. So,
I was trying to get cathode ray out, actually.
Oh, Cathode Ray. Right. Gyles, 49 seconds still available. My time as a butler, starting now.
The royal family offer you friendliness, not friendship, as I pointed out to the Middletons at the time of the wedding of William and Kate. But it was as a servant of these illustrious people that I became a butler for the first time, working at the table of the late but gracious Princess Margaret. She used me as an ashtray. It was a little bit humbling as I...
Paul challenge.
You were serving Princess Margaret and she was already dead?
Well, this is some years ago. It's a reminiscence of...
Oh, you said you were serving the late Princess Margaret. I mean, do they ever let go of their royal heritage, or...
No, Paul,
It was always touch and go with Princess Margaret.
Yeah.
I was just putting that in case I caught her on the cusp.
What an unfortunate image.
That's a lovely challenge, isn't it?
Isn't it
Because
just?
it's serving her.
Nobody's
and she's
biscuits
dead.
for it, but the 7, you can't serve somebody who's dead. Well, you can't really, can you? Yeah, you can't.
That is the logical interpretation
Isn't it just?
of what you're saying, and that is your challenge.
Unless the late Princess Margaret was just a lack of punctuality. She was 5 minutes after an appointment.
Gyles, you should have said that, but it's too late now.
Oh, it's too late.
I think your challenge came in first,
Okay.
and that's the correct one.
Right.
And you have 26 seconds, Paul, on My Time as a Butler, starting now.
I had to serve some custard creams to Edward VII. The year was 1956 and he was a right old slave.
Gyles challenge.
So much deviation that it's barely credible.
You don't believe he served...
Edward VII died in 1910.
That's why I said it. Following on your Princess Margaret joke.
Yeah. I always like to be fair in this show. I gave the benefit of the doubt to you, Paul,
Yes.
because of the late Princess Margaret. I now give it to Gyles,
Yeah.
because Edward VII died in 1910, was
Yes.
it? Right. Gyles, you got the subject back. And 22 seconds starting now.
You Rang, My Lord was one of my favourite television series and featured a wonderful actor named Paul Shane in the role of the butler. I aspired to that particular part and attempted to murder the actor in question in the hope of taking over from him. Unfortunately, I was caught by the police, who felt this was an inappropriate way to fulfil my career hopes, and therefore I ended up in croaky.
So, Gyles Brandreth was then speaking as the whistle went, and he's now moved forward, one ahead of Paul Merton, and Jason and Alun are now equal in third place with 1 point apiece. And, but it's the contribution, not the points. And Jason, we're back with you.
Yes.
And the subject for you now is family holidays. Can you tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now?
Family holiday is a contradiction in terms. It's not really a family holiday. It's more you gathering your children together with your wife and spending a lot of money and babysitting them in a different country. Do you... Oh, no! No! And then, as you arrive... No, I can't put myself...
Jason, you challenge yourself.
I'll go again.
Don't keep doing it, otherwise I will penalise you.
Right.
But that was a correct challenge, well listened. And There are 40 seconds still available. Family holidays are starting now.
Arriving at the pool is normally a very stressful time on family holidays because you can't relax there. It's watching the kids, waiting for them to fall into the pool, but then you put armbands on them.
Gyles challenge.
Repetition of pool?
Pool, kids, all kinds of things, yes.
Well, we normally go twice.
Gyles, the correct challenge. So you have family holidays in 31 seconds starting now.
Family holidays are indeed traumatic, but royal family holidays are truly a nightmare. There I was in the field.
Alun, you challenge.
Deviation. How do you know that the royal family are all on holiday? They are always on holiday, aren't they? That's what they do.
Oh, no.
Yes, but when you're the butler and you're actually in the field, stepping through the cowpats with them, you realise
with
this
the
is
late Princess Margaret.
Is that your job, to step through cowpats?
Gyles, incorrect challenge. 23 seconds. Family holidays starting now.
In the middle of the night, you leave your tent to relieve yourself, and there is the Duke of Edinburgh with a blunderbuss trying to blow you out of the undergrowth. It really is most uncomfortable, because, of course, he is there guarding the edge, the perimeter, because he is the founder of the National Playing Fields Association and a jolly good egg and fields at holidays that are active.
Full challenge.
Well, amid this homage to Prince Philip, who we, of course, we all love dearly, it's sort of strayed off the point of family holidays.
Well, I think he was trying to talk about the royal,
we had Prince
royal
Philip
family
blasted
holidays.
us blowing somebody off in the wood.
Is the royal family not the undergrowth?
Didn't we?
Is the royal family not our nation's #1 family?
Yes, Gyles, I agree. Deviation, Paul. You have the subject of family holidays, and you have 4 seconds to go. Starting now.
The very first family holiday I can recall was an absolutely superb event.
So Paul Merton was then speaking to Whistle Went and gained that extra point. He's one behind our leader, Giles Brandreth. The other two are training just a little. But Alun is back with you to begin. Scrooge, that's the subject, Alun. We'd like you to begin. And 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Scrooge is a name I am often called. I was born in Scotland and raised in Yorkshire, and I am a thrifty individual, and I make no apologies for that. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit of a Scrooge. Unlike Scrooge, who is a character in the popular Dickens movies and books, he is a stingy man, but he hates the poor, whereas I love the poor. If it weren't for the poor, who would...
Jason, you're listening well. You're
Yes, finally. That's repetition on poor, yeah?
Poor, yes. Well,
Oh, yes, I got something right!
Yes. You've got 33 seconds available, and the subject is Scrooge, and you start now.
Yes, my father is a definite Scrooge, a very mean man indeed. Would never part with his money ever. My mother would say, please, I need to go to the shop. No, you can't. The money is sewn into my pants up in the... Oh.
Alun challenge.
I said
money. Repetition of money.
Money, yes.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologise.
No, I do. It's just ridiculous.
Correct challenge, Alun. You've got another point. Scrooge is back with you, starting now.
Scrooge disliked the financially challenged, whereas I love them, for without them, who would wash my car? I certainly wouldn't. £10 and they give it a really good scrub just around the corner from my home. I am sometimes a little mean. My wife thinks that it's not right that we have an electricity monitor and I walk around the house turning all the gadgets off standby. But that's a good thing.
So Cochrane was then speaking as the Whistle Went, again that extra point for doing so. And Gyles, we're back with you to begin. The subject now is the chairman of the board. Tell us something about that pompous subject in this game, starting now.
When I first met the Queen, she told me that she was indeed the chairman of the board, but she preferred to be called a chair. I said to her, Your Majesty, you are not an inanimate object, a piece of furniture. You are not inviting me to sit upon your lap, are you? And she said, I am nonetheless not to be called the chairman of the board. I wish to be known by the letters C-H-A-I-R, spoken clearly in the Queen's English, for that is our national mother tongue.
Alun challenge.
It's not my national mother tongue. I'm Scottish.
You speak the Queen's English with a Scottish accent.
I don't. I speak it with an English accent.
Well, you do, actually, yeah. So I think I have to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one because is it Yorkshire or Lancashire you are from?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire, yes, right. Benefit of the doubt to you on that one, Alan, the chairman of the board, starting now.
When I met the Queen, she never mentioned the chairman of the board. I mainly discussed the chairman of the board as in people who are extremely profoundly bored. That's the chairman of the board. I've never been chairman of the board. I don't really hold down jobs well.
Paul Challis.
You get in there.
What I sometimes do in this game when someone comes in with a brilliant interjection like that, I give them a bonus point. And Paul, that certainly deserved a bonus point. Right. But have you got a challenge within the rules of just a minute?
No, I don't.
Right. So Alan was interrupted. He gets a point for that. He's got 11 seconds still. Chairman of the board, starting now.
Someone who works in a wooden hardware shop and is the boss is probably the chairman of the board. And he probably does...
Paul, yes.
Two probablys,
There were two probablys there, yes. So
Highly
this time you've
probable.
got in again with 4 seconds to go. But a correct challenge, another point. Chairman of the board, Paul, starting now.
Frank Sinatra used to refer to himself as the chairman of the board, along with Sammy Davis Jr. and all the other members of the...
So Paul Merton speakers a whistle when the game, an extra point is now moved 2 points ahead of Gyles Brandreth. The other two are trailing a little. And Paul, we're back with you to begin. And the subject is owning a tandem. I don't know whether you've ever owned one or not, but talk on the subject. 60 seconds starting now.
I've never owned a tandem.
Jason, you buzz first.
No, it wasn't me.
He was trying to help you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to explain to Lizzie.
I'm very sorry.
Nicholas is now actually holding Jason's buzzer.
I'm too nice for this
but
game.
Jason,
Yes.
Gyles actually did challenge first. Are you going to give it to him, Jason?
Yes, go ahead, Gyles. No, I'll take it.
Look, if we're on a tandem, we could do it together.
Well, I mean, it probably wouldn't work because you'll only bring the Queen along.
Gyles,
It might be Princess Margaret, you never know.
It was a correct challenge, Gyles, so we give you a point because you did the challenge. But we're going to give the subject to Jason. 57 seconds to go, Jason. Owning a tandem, starting now.
Yeah, Tandem was something that I owned. I bought it off the goodies. They we're big fans of tandems, and I said, how much is that tandem? They said, it's 50 quid to you. Really?
Paul Challis.
Well, the goodies didn't have a tandem, did they? It was a 3-seater bicycle, so...
Yeah, the 3-seater, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it has a name, the 3. It's a bicycle made for 3, that's all.
Wait a minute, it doesn't have a name.
No, I just...
Well, Tandem would have done.
No. I'll give him a bonus point because we love his interjections, right?
Thank you.
But Paul had a correct challenge, and he has 48 seconds on owning a tandem, starting now.
I've never owned a tandem.
It's getting delightfully hysterical. A bonus point to Paul because we love what he said. Gyles, you challenged.
I did.
48 seconds, owning a tandem, Gyles, starting now.
I, as part of National Cutlery Week, was sent to a greasy spoon in Accrington in Lancashire, where I was amazed to find waiting outside the restaurant my childhood tandem, which was actually a tricycle made for two. I climbed aboard this and went to Harcourt Road, where my old auntie was nursing a telegram from Her Majesty the Queen. It was a glorious moment, and we paraded around that wonderful northern city, waving aloft this beautiful, triumphant royal effigy on this tandem. My auntie and I.
Repetition of auntie.
You sure it wasn't aunt last time?
No.
No, the audience were listening as well.
You're not sure, but you know if he says it confidently enough, you think it is.
There speaks a politician.
But wait a minute.
Paul, a correct challenge. 13 seconds, owning a tandem, starting now.
I've never owned a tandem.
Alan, you challenge.
I don't think Paul has ever owned a tandem.
I've never owned a tandem.
I think it may be repetition.
It is repetition. Because even though he was speaking before, when he goes back to the subject, he can't repeat what he said before. So, Alan, you've got the subject of owning a tandem, 11 seconds, starting now.
Owning a tandem was perhaps the loneliest moment in my friend's childhood because he was an only child. He used to cycle it to school and lock it up at the gates with a tear running down his face whilst I laughed.
So, Alun Cochrane was speaking then as whistle went, gained that extra point. He's moved forward. He's still in third place, but he's moved forward. And I just heard we're going into the final round. Oh, you're so lovely. Let me give you the situation as we move into the final round. Jason Byrne, who's never played the game before, though it wasn't very obvious, and but we loved it.
I'm good at football.
And Jason is in fourth place. He's a little bit behind Alun Cochrane, who's in second place. He's a few points behind Gyles Brandreth, who is 3 points behind Paul Merton, who's now in the lead. But Jason, we're back with you to begin. And this is a lovely subject. It's something which I love very much. Prunes. So can you talk on prunes in this game, starting now?
Prunes, a dried plum, can be used in various ways. It can be used as a stew, as a main dinner, or a dessert. Also, prunes can be used for old people. Oh no!
Good chance.
We had used a few times and we held old people a few times.
Gyles, a correct challenge. You have 45 seconds available. Tell us something about prunes in this game, starting now.
Because for Christmas...
Alun challenge.
Oh, the Queen loves them. It's bound to be, isn't it? I'll just start saving the bother.
Yeah. All right, for that round of applause, Alun, we're going to give you a bonus point because they enjoyed what you said. But, Gyles, you were interrupted. 43 seconds on prunes, starting now.
I'm planning to give my wife a bronzed effigy of my torso, and consequently I am on a diet at the moment that involves no bread, rice, pasta or potatoes, but entirely prunes. I suck 'em dry and then spit out the stone. When, rather sweetly, Princess Anne comes along, holding the spittoon in front of me. Oh, she's a game girl. She's actually, in times, you think more of man than woman, but there's something about her that is nautical and ferocious and exciting. Not as thrilling as Zara, who also loves prune juice and tells me that on the rugby field she sometimes plays with her husband. Oh, yes. They get their strength up.
Paul, you challenged.
Well, there was a hesitation there.
Yeah. That...
As the authorities come to take him away.
Right, Paul. You've got him in 3 seconds to go. Prunes is with you, Paul. 3 seconds, starting now.
I believe it was William Wordsworth who first penned the lines to the prune. Oh!
I said a few moments ago, this was to be the last round. And the final situation is that Jason Byrne, not having played the game, coming in for the first time, but what value he gave. And Alun Cochrane has only played the game a few times. He gave great value too. Look right about that, Alun. Gyles Brandreth was in second place. He always gives good value, but he gave him an individual round of applause. And the man with most points this week, so we call him the winner. And a big round of applause for Paul Merton. So, in any way, we take to thank you, these 4 delightful players of this game, and we're grateful to Sarah Sharp, who's helped me with the score and blown the whistle so well. I'm grateful to our producer, Toulouse Gilani, and we're indebted to Ian Messiter, who created this amazing game. And we're indebted to this lovely audience here at the Festival Fringe who've cheered us on our way magnificently. From our audience, from me, Nicholas Parsons, and the team, goodbye, thank you. And remember, listeners, tune in the next time we play Just a Minute. Yay! Welcome to Just a Minute. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hello. My name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, once more it's my huge pleasure to welcome our many listeners from around the world, but also to welcome to the show 4 exciting, talented, humorous performers who are going to show off their dexterity, words and language as they speak on a subject that I give them, and they will try and do that without hesitation, repetition or deviation. And they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Shappy Kosandi, and seated on my left, Gyles Brandreth and Russell Kane. Will you please welcome all 4 of them? And seated beside me, It's Sarah Sharp who's going to help me keep the score and blow the whistle when the 60 seconds have elapsed. And this particular edition of Just a Minute is coming from the BBC venue at Potter Row in Edinburgh during the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And we have an excited, very silent at the moment, Fringe audience ready to burst into laughter and applause, we hope, as we begin the show this week with Gyles Brandreth. Oh, Gyles, I'm sure it's been chosen for you. My tartan underwear. That conveys I know that you've got tartan underwear, which is very embarrassing. Will you talk on the subject, Gyles? 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
It is well known that all a Scotsman wears beneath his kilt is naked ambition. When I took part in the Braemar Games, decided to take precautions and acquired some tartan underwear. This was because I was tossing the caber. When the organisers approached me and said, "Are you the tosser we are expecting?" I was able to greet them and lift my kilt and display the black watch. Not something you tell the time on.
Paul Chance.
Was it a repetition of kilt?
No, he said it when I lifted it.
Ah, didn't repeat kilt.
No.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No. Gyles, that's an incorrect challenge. So you have a point for that, of course. And you keep the subject, and there are 35 seconds still available. My tartan underwear starting now.
I ran across the field with the mighty stick in my hand. I flicked it into the air. It turned a double somersault like Wayne Rooney on heat. And then it was that the wind blew up Miss Byrne and the cloth around it and revealed, yes, those gorgeous knickers, now unfortunately the elastic gone, and around my knees. It was an unfortunate moment when people said, "Oh, dear me, that's not very exciting, is it? Oh, hi, the new Dr. Snoddy, where are you? This fellow needs some attention. It's clearly colder here than we thought." I was embarrassed by this humiliating moment in my life because my tartan underwear is something...
In this game, whoever is speaking when the whistle goes gains an extra point. On this occasion, it was Gyles Brandreth who actually started with the subject and finished with it, but with one interruption. But at the end of that round, he's got 2 points, and of course, naturally, he's in the lead ahead of all the others. And thank you for laughing at that. It wasn't very funny, but it does help to keep the show going. Right, Russell, first-time player of the game. Right, would you take the second round? And the subject we've chosen for you, Russell, we hope it's an easy one, castles. Tell us something about castles in just a minute, starting now.
Well, we're in the city of Edinburgh, where there is a very famous castle to which all the Americans immediately flock, stand outside it with their cameras and go, "I'm so Scottish right now. Am I pronouncing it correctly?" For me, the castle is a very loaded term. I grew up in a council road, and the castle was the nickname our neighbours gave to our house because my father dared to buy his own welfare property and extending it, turning it into a 3-bedroom house. The thing that really pushed the pejorative term over the line was when we sunk a swimming pool into the back garden of our state-assisted home, therefore becoming, on our estate, the only people who my mum could get in from macros go, "I'm a bit hot at the moment, I think I might have a swim." And it really annoyed the neighbours, and my dad's accent immediately changed.
All right, Paul Challenge.
A repetition of Dad?
Yes.
Not that I've got issues.
You did mention your dad earlier on, but you went for 47 seconds.
That's not bad for a first.
A first-time player of the game, first time of doing it, and you get 47 seconds. Give him a bonus point.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Paul had a correct challenge, so Paul, you take up the subject, and there are 13 seconds available. Castles starting now.
Not one of my favourite places to visit are castles. I find them inherently boring. There's drawbridges, moats, bits of walls still standing up, but I find it very...
Gyles Challenge.
A repetition of find.
Oh, yes, you found
yes,
it, yes,
yeah.
right at the beginning, right. Well, listen, Gyles, and you've cleverly got in with 4 seconds to go. You've won no friends in the audience, but you've got... and you've got castle still, and you start now.
To be king of the castle was what I had wanted to do most of all when I was on the beach of Broadstairs as a child.
So, at the end of that round, Gyles Brandreth will speak as the whistle went and gained that extra point for doing so, and he's increased his lead at the end of the round. Shappy Corsandi, will you begin the next round? The subject is call centres. Tell us something about that evocative place in these games, starting now.
I had 2 jobs enduring ones that I did before I did stand-up comedy, and one of them was in a call centre. The other one, if you're wondering, was a life model. That's a very strange job, because you have to stand naked in front of strangers and they draw you. And at one point, this guy said to me, "Oh, has anyone got a rubber?" which was an odd thing to say in the middle of a class. The call centre, however, was something I was good at. I was good. I repeated the word good.
Right.
I can't buzz myself.
Russell, you challenged.
I was going to say deviation, but the word...
No, hesitation.
Well,
There was quite a lot of bit about life drawing, which,
yes.
and it wasn't really much about the call centre.
Well, the thing
but
is,
I was slightly
Russell,
aroused by the story, so I
the
didn't
thing
really
is,
listen.
Russell, I used to do the call centre by day and the life modelling
But
by
you had
night.
deviated from that, and you also hesitated.
Yes, but it's my life.
No, Russell, you were very quick there, and and you got right in for a first-time player, and that was a correct challenge.
I noticed a patronising tone in your voice.
The subject is call centres, Russell, and you've got 50 seconds starting now.
The call centre is one of the fastest times I've ever been sacked in my life. I've been fired from jobs.
Shappy, there you are, Shappy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but this one happens. You get the subject back, you get a point as well for a correct challenge. He did hesitate. Right, 44 seconds still available, Shappy, on call centres starting now.
I was rather good at my job in the calls. What?
Call challenge.
Repetition of good.
Yes, you were talking about being good before.
Right. Okay, well...
And when you get the subject back, you can't repeat what you said before. Paul, you've got him with 42 seconds on call centres starting now.
Occasionally, when I have to phone up a call centre, I'm aware that I might be talking to somebody in a different country who's going to ask me how I think the plot line of Coronation Street reflects modern society in Britain today. These are the kind of topics that they do tell people who are working in call centres to engage with the callers on the other end of the line to give you some idea that perhaps they're phoning you from Burnley, or perhaps you are telephoning them.
Gyles challenge.
Repetition of perhaps.
Yes, perhaps.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps. Well, listen, Gyles. You've got him with 19 seconds to go. Tell us something about call centres, starting now.
I think the punishment for former News of the World journalists should be to be locked into hacking a call centre permanently or for the rest of their lives, listening endlessly to the calls of other people that are of no interest whatsoever, people asking for codes you can never remember.
Right, Shappy challenge.
People.
Yes, repetition of people.
Oh, yes.
I love the succinct way you challenged, and you didn't say, he repeated, you just said, people. Anyway, correct?
I'm dying to tell you my story about when I worked in the call
Well,
centre.
you've got 5 seconds left.
Oh,
Carry
come
on. Call centres starting now.
I became a manager and I interviewed a new caller and his name was...
Well done.
Oh, you've got in, Russell, a new player with 1 second to go. Call centres is for you, Russell, starting now.
Hello, this is First Direct.
So, as I said before, whoever's speaking when the whistle goes gained that extra point. It was Russell Kane, and he's in second place behind Giles Brandreth. And Shappy Cassandi and Paul Merton are trailing just behind. Paul Merton, would you begin the next round? The subject, Spartacus. Tell us something about Spartacus in this game, Star.
It's one of the classic films I've never seen. I know it stars Kirk Douglas, and there is a famous scene towards the end where various people claim to say, "I am Spartacus," and then the person next to them repeats it. Ditto Spartacus, etc., and so on. And it seems to me that as a film, it is one of the great movies of the...
Shappy challenge.
Sorry, I think you said film twice, and I'm a bit scared because I haven't seen it either, and I don't really want to take it over.
Yeah. You did mention it was a film right at the beginning.
I think I did, yeah.
Correct
Are
challenge.
you sure you don't want to give Paul the benefit of the doubt?
No, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, darling.
Okay.
We'll hear from you on Spartacus. 43 seconds starting now.
I once knew a woman who called her baby Spartacus. I don't know why she did this. I think she didn't really want to be a mother in the first place. I also met another child yesterday called Theatre, but that's irrelevant. I have never...
Giles.
Self-acknowledged deviation.
Giles, it could be irrelevant in the collective sense, but it is not irrelevant to the story she's telling.
The child was called Theatre. If it had been called movie, cinema, Kirk Douglas, possibly. But you're the judge.
I don't understand your challenge now.
That's all right. I'm used to that.
I'll take points away from you in a moment.
Can you do that? Can you take points away from people?
No, I've never done it before.
No,
but, you know,
take a point off Giles. Go on, take a point off.
No. I like to think I have a reputation for fairness, and I don't want to be unkind to anybody, let alone Gyles, whom I do know very well.
Yeah.
And, Chappie, you have 30 seconds. Continue on Spartacus, starting now.
What I do know is that the bloke in it is the dad of the bloke who is...
Paul Challenge.
Repetition of bloke.
No.
Yes, the word.
Yes.
There's too many blokes. You can't bluff your way out this time, darling. 25 seconds on Spartacus, Paul, starting now.
Well-oiled, muscled torsos strode across the wide screen. The year was 1960. They were ready for a new decade, the American public. They strode into the cinema and took...
Giles Challenge.
A repetition of strode.
They strode.
Strode? Did I say that before?
Yes, you did.
Did I? It must be a favourite word of mine.
I've never used it before.
I've never used that word before. Now I've used it twice. Isn't that funny? Go on, take a point off him. Take a point off him.
No, he gets a point for a correct challenge.
Yeah.
And there are 14 seconds, Giles, on Spartacus, starting now.
At the House of Commons, there was a Spartacus Club, of which the chairman was John Prescott, MP. Amateur pugilist, deputy prime minister, the man who uses the language like a Rubik cube, and he would dress up in this extraordinary outfit, bare torso, oiled, little loincloth.
So, Giles Brandreth, who then speaks as a whistle when gained that extra point, has increased his lead ahead of all the others at the end of the round. Giles, we're back with you to begin, and the subject is hand-me-downs. Tell us something about hand-me-downs in this game, starting now.
What does the Queen do when she burps? She issues a royal pardon. This is an old joke that was handed down to me by her husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. In his own case, he is a...
Russell, you challenged.
There was hesitation.
It was.
Yes, it was. A stumble over words, it's hesitation. Well listened, Russell. And you've got 50 seconds to tell us something about hand-me-downs, starting now.
Well, I'm a fan of the hand-me-down. I often wear second-hand clothes and clothes that are vintage.
Oh, Chappie, you challenged.
But can I say I really like your dress sense?
This is ideal for just a minute, isn't it? I suppose for our listeners I should describe it now.
No, please don't.
Well, I should, because they don't know why they laughed. He's wearing a T-shirt and bare arms. What's on the T-shirt?
It's a camper van, a Volkswagen camper van, and I've cut the neck off to create a scoop cut.
Oh. Well, now they know why the audience laughed. Hand-me-downs is with you, Chappie. 45 seconds starting now.
I was dressed in hand-me-downs, which is a shame because I have an older brother. It was very difficult doing ballet in football shoes. Occasionally our mother would buy him dresses, so when it came to handing them down to me, they would look pretty on me. Gave my older sibling a complex. Hey, I'm getting the hang of this. Hand-me-downs...
Paul challenge.
Hesitation.
Yes, you got the hang of it, then he corrupts.
Damn.
Well done, my darling. But, Paul, you've got him with 23 seconds. Hand-me-downs starting now.
Hand-me-downs is something that used to happen a great deal in Victorian England when you looked at the working-class people who had very little money, and it would depend on who was the first person to buy a pair of trousers within a particular group, and whoever that individual was would then hand those pants down the family line. So you might well see a 5-year-old child wearing a enormous pair of trousers. I'd lapsed into the Dickensian phrase then.
And Russell, you cleverly got in with half a second hesitation. Hand-me-downs. Russell, starting now.
My jeans are more like...
So, interesting situation. Russell Kane, our first-time player of the game, has now moved forward into the lead with Giles Brandreth. And Russell, it's your turn to begin. Don't let it all go to your head. You can all fold up in a moment, right? It's a tough game. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we're bonding here.
But you're doing well. Yes, I know you are. Yes, right.
I think it was bonding, either that or bondage. Anyway, it sounds fine. I'm going with the flow.
I should explain to our listeners that Russell and Giles are sitting close to each other. Russell, Kane, your turn to begin. On a long train journey, that's the subject. 60 seconds. Starting now.
Long train journeys, I enjoy them. Because I'm a stand-up comedian, I can buy first-class tickets in advance and sit comfortably as I travel from London to Edinburgh. I always feel slightly like I don't belong in a first-class carriage.
Chappie Janet.
First class.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
first class. You don't wear that T-shirt in a first-class carriage, do you?
Oh, yes. To provoke the ire of the elites.
Chappie, correct challenge. I don't know what you're talking about. 48 seconds, Shappy. On a long train journey starting now.
On a long train journey, you can decide whether or not to chat to the person next to you. It can be like opening up a can of worms. Sometimes it'll be quite interesting. Sometimes
Paul, challenge.
Repetition of sometimes.
Sometimes is twice, yes. And the subject is on a long train journey. You have 35 seconds, Paul, starting now.
London to Edinburgh is quite a long train journey. You go through various stations. Didcot's one of them. Peterborough.
Giles, yes?
Didcot?
Didcot.
You don't go through Didcot to it.
I always get on the wrong train. I have to change at Didcot.
Well, Paul, if you get on the wrong train, you're still not going to Edinburgh, are you?
No,
It's still a deviation.
It's a longer
No
train.
question.
No, on a
By
long train
definition,
journey.
going via Didcot is deviation.
It's a longer train journey. It's a longer train journey, which is the very subject. On a long train journey, I've made it longer. How can that be deviation?
No, because it'll be two separate train journeys, because London to Didcot is short, and then you're back at square one. You can't link that to the other train journey that you're...
I think they've answered you, Paul.
I didn't think it was that much of a problem.
Anyway, Giles, you've got the point and the subject, and of course it's apt that you should have it because you wrote a marvellous book about something to read on a long train journey, didn't you?
I did. Thank you
Yes,
for
and it was
mentioning
based-
that. Something
And it was your
sensational to read
memoirs,
on the train.
wasn't
It
it?
was indeed. That's sweet of you to touch on that,
Very
Nicholas. And I have to say, I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed your book, which I'm... Though August is coming to an end, there's no better summer reading than I think Nicholas Parsons' life, a life in comedy.
That's right, I like it.
You've had a life in comedy?
Yes.
Have you?
If I wasn't...
Kept that quiet.
Oh, you wicked bastard, Rosa.
Now I remember. That was your catchphrase. Now I remember. You used to say that in the 60s, do you remember?
Right. Go on, give him a bonus point, he deserves it. Right. But Giles, you got the subject, and there are 30 seconds on a long train journey starting now.
I was once stuck on a long train journey with Margaret Thatcher, who has many qualities but no sense of humour, which must have made bringing up Mark really quite difficult. What distracted me on that journey...
Paul challenge.
There was a hesitation there. Did you notice that?
There was a little hesitation.
Yeah, wasn't
yes.
there? Yeah, funny.
Unusual for him. Because he does go to usual lick, doesn't he? So what I do on this occasion, it's doubtful. Paul, I give you the benefit of the doubt on this occasion, but I will try and redress the balance and give you the benefit sometime later.
God,
See
you're
if I can
fair.
do it.
He's
Right.
so fair, this man.
Always fair. 20 seconds on a long train journey to Paul starting now.
I do prefer long train journeys as opposed to short aeroplane flights. I love covering the same distance on the rails. The train takes you there directly from city to inner bit that you go to, and it's absolutely beautiful that you can walk up and down in these carriages, look sedately out the window, see the landscape as you pass through it.
So, at the end of that round, Paul was speaking as the whistle went and gained that extra point. It's all very close. He's equal with Russell Kane, one behind Giles Brandreth, and Shappy trails them by 1 point only. So it's all very close. And Shappy, it's your turn to begin. And the subject is the eldest child. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
My brother is the eldest child in our family. The eldest child is the one born from love. Two people meet and they adore each other so much they want to create a human being out of that affection. Second children are not born that way. We are merely toys for the eldest child. Nobody has us...
Giles, you challenged.
Hesitation.
That was definitely hesitation. Yes,
there
so...
was.
Giles, you have 34 seconds to talk about the eldest child starting now.
I would so love Russell Kane to be my eldest child, because it would put him out of temptation's way, as far as I'm concerned. Regular listeners will know...
Where on earth are we going?
Where we go? We've gone there.
Can't we just pass through?
So, Russell, you challenged.
Good.
I was overcome with filial love for Giles. There was a slight hesitation there as he declared he'd like to adopt me.
Definite hesitation.
Yeah.
So, Russell, you have the subject, and you have 23 seconds.
That's my boy. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Really
Thank you,
enjoy it.
Papa.
Feel the moment.
Right.
Do you think Gyles should be sitting on his hands as well?
Sir Russell, 23 seconds. The eldest child starting now.
I was the eldest child. There was two of us, my brother and I, James and me, and I constantly bullied him, and now I'm filled with guilt. As I grow up, all the little things that have gone wrong with him, I wonder, did I have anything to do with that? So I used to wander in where he was very tiny and go, "Ugh, monsters will get you. Mum, he seems to be crying again, I can't explain it." And also, the bullying that revolved.
Oh, yeah. Shappy, you were listening well.
Yes, and also I wouldn't buzz anywhere because that's just mean. Because he is where I am.
Well, what is your challenge with the rules of just a minute?
Oh, the bullying.
Oh, the bullying,
Yeah.
repetition, yes.
I said bully the first time, I think. Bully, then bullying.
That's what my boy said.
Spoken like a true dad of a bully.
You're right, you did.
Dad of the bully, yeah.
You said he used to bully him and then bullying. That's right. No, you've still got 3 seconds left, Russell. And you've got the eldest child starting now.
The most tyrannous bit of being the eldest child was breaking wind and launching it into my brother.
No, you kept going till the whistle did go, getting an extra point for doing so, and you've taken the lead again ahead of Gyles and Paul and Shappy in that order. Paul, your turn to begin. The subject is cleaning up my act. Well, as I've heard your act, there's nothing dirty about it, so I don't quite know why you got this subject.
Unlike your catchphrases.
He's still being wicked, isn't he? Paul, cleaning up my act, 60 seconds starting now.
Well, as Nicholas alludes to the fact I used to have an act, but that was way back in the 1980s. I haven't done stand-up for such a long time as I found it easy just to make things up off the top of my head on stage with other people. For example, Just a Minute. You don't have to clean up my act here because I'm aware that I'm appearing on Radio 4. There are certain words that cannot be broadcast. One of them used to be Brandreth. Now we have a completely open policy and we are allowed to say this as often as we like on this particular medium that we are now sharing amongst ourselves here. Am I going to pause for breath? I think I am. Do you know the most magnificent thing about appearing on Just a Minute and cleaning up?
Oh, Russell, you spotted it first.
Repetition of just.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, Just a Minute, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
I was just
You
being
just
specific to the
yes.
word.
I've forgotten what the subject was.
I know. Cleaning up my act.
Yeah, I should have written it down, didn't I?
Right, Russell, you've got the subject, and you've got 29 seconds still. Cleaning up my act, starting now.
It's often very difficult for me to clean up my act when I go on radio, for example, because I'm from Essex, a county in England that prides itself on swearing constantly and unnecessarily. Even while thinking where they were last week, people will swear just to feel...
Oh, Shappy spotted
You
it.
saw twice.
Yes, and 15 seconds, Shappy. Cleaning up my act, starting now.
I often have to clean up my act at the Edinburgh Festival because people bring little children to my shows. I've often wondered why this is so.
Giles challenge.
Repetition of often.
Often.
Yes.
Did I say often and then mispronounce it and say often? Because
Yes,
I
you
do
did,
that
but
sometimes.
it's still
I never
the same.
know which is the correct one.
I think it depends from where your background is.
Iran.
Sorry, shouldn't that be Iran?
So I think most people say often,
Yeah.
but some people who haven't got the advantage of a scholastic education say often.
I was trying to distract you all and make you think that the subject was still mine. It's not going to work, is it?
No, it's not.
No,
No.
okay.
Who challenged? It was Russell, wasn't it?
No,
Yes.
no, it was me.
It was you?
I was
it
Giles.
Giles, right.
Oh, yes.
8 seconds, Giles. Cleaning up my act, starting now.
When Russell has finished cleaning up his act, I hope he will start to clean up his room.
Paul challenge.
Well, you see, this is clean up my act, not clean up Russell's act. It's deviation from the subject, you see.
Correct challenge.
My boy and I are as one.
Yeah.
And his act, frankly, are hands-me-downs from mine.
5 seconds.
We're all
Paul.
going to...
I think you can sue on that, I think.
5 seconds are still available, Paul, on cleaning up my act, starting now.
I was determined to clean up my act. I got myself a big bucket of soapy water, a broom, and I said...
Right. So, at the end of that round... Oh, I've just heard. We're into the final round. Oh, you're a lovely audience. We're moving into the final round. Let me tell you that Shappy, who's not played the game an awful lot, but she does it well, she's just in 4th place. 1 point behind Paul Merton, who's 1 point behind Giles Brandreth, who's 1 point behind Russell Kane, our first-time player of the game. It's very close. Giles, it's your turn to begin, and the subject now is acquired taste. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
I have recently acquired a taste for licorice, Irish music, and older men, so that when Nicholas walked in this afternoon, sucking a sherbet dib-dab and whistling the Londonderry air, I was in 7th heaven. I know that I'm sometimes described as an acquired taste myself. This I find a little bit hurtful, particularly because people say we're still waiting to acquire this taste. And when you have been actually playing the game for some 30 years, you feel, oh my, it's a bit sad that people do not recognize that you've repeated one word and you sweep on, which is generous.
Paul challenge.
What's a deviation? I think the words got a bit mixed up there.
Yeah, they were. It's a repetition of people, too.
Yeah.
26 seconds are available, Paul, on acquired taste, starting now.
Well, acquired taste, I suppose, is something that you build up yourself through experience. You can look at various films, television programmes, listen to classical music, and define your own taste. You can say to yourself, I think I prefer late Beethoven to early Haydn. Or maybe you might even suggest Mozart. What a magnificent composer. But, you know, I think if he had lived beyond his 30s, he might well have moved into country and western. This will only be an opinion.
Paul was then speaking with the whistle when gained that extra point. Oh, what an interesting result. Shappy, who hasn't played the game a lot, finished just in 4th place. No, it wasn't 4th place, actually. It was 3rd place, darling. Because...
Am I 3rd place today?
3rd place, because Gyles, Brandreth and Paul Merton are equal in 2nd place.
Oh.
Right. Oh. But only 1 point ahead is our first-time player of the game, Russell Kane! So, wearing his lucky T-shirt, he's come here and triumphed.
It's in the blood, Russell.
I couldn't have done it without Daddy.
Well, thank you very much. We do hope you've enjoyed this edition of Just a Minute. And it only remains for me to say thank you to these 4 fine players of the game, Paul Merton, Shappy Cassandi, Russell Kane and Gyles Brandreth. I also thank Sarah Sharp, who's helped me keep the score and blow her whistle magnificently. And we are grateful to our producer, Toulousha Galani. We're indebted to Ian Messiter, who created this amazing game. And we're grateful to this lovely audience here at the Festival Fringe who've cheered us on our way magnificently. From our audience, from me, Nicholas Parsons, and the team, goodbye, thank you. And remember, listeners, tune in the next time we play Just a Minute. Yay!